Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naistike Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri-gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa-kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna-prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service. So, we are in the section where there is devotional service, and now the mind and the activities of the yogi are being described here. How one should conduct oneself. So, we are at text 19. Madharmano gunairete parisham suddha ashayah purushasyanjasabhyeti shrutamatra gunam himam. Translation.
When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is thus completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality. Purport. In the beginning of this instruction, the Lord explained to his mother that Madguna Shruti Matren, simply by hearing of the name, quality, form, etc., of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately attracted. A person becomes fully qualified with all transcendental qualities by following the rules and regulations as recommended in different scriptures. We have developed certain unnecessary qualities by material association. And by following the above process, we become free from that contamination. To develop transcendental qualities, as explained in the previous verse, one must become free from these contaminated qualities. Hare Krishna.
Now, Kapila Muni says that when one is fully qualified, he is immediately attracted to hearing my name and hearing my transcendental qualities. Shrutamatra gunam hima. So, like, very beautiful Abhanga is there of Tukaram Maharaj. He says, Bahuta sukrutanchi zodi tochi vithala avadi. So we are not attracted towards the Supreme Lord because of the contamination within. Later, in the 7th canto, we will see one beautiful example by Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj says, just like iron is naturally attracted towards the magnet, and but when the iron is covered with rust, so then the iron is not attracted. Otherwise, it is naturally attracted. Similarly, Jiva is naturally attracted towards the Supreme Lord, but when there is a rust of lust, anger, greed over the Jiva, then this iron will not attract it to the magnet. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the beginning of the instruction, Mat Guna Shruti Matrena, the Lord has explained that simply by hearing the name, qualities, and forms of the Supreme Lord, one is immediately attracted. So this is how we can gauge our advancement, that progressively our attraction towards the Supreme Lord is expanding. When one is fully qualified, now which are these qualifications? If we can count, Lord Kapila has given these 42 qualifications, 18 plus 24 previous, right? So numbering one after another, these are 42 qualifications. He is fully qualified. Prabhupada says, due to association with the matter, we have developed unnecessary qualities of material association. What are these unnecessary qualities? Newspaper, many times the time pass, Netflix, web series, mindless scrolling, and then it goes on and on and on, right? Prajalpa, this all comes under the category of Prajalpa. But we have to be freed from such contamination, and then one will get attracted to the Supreme Lord. So recently I was hearing one very beautiful point, where it was being explained. The flow of the time is inversely proportional to focus. What it means is that when you are focused on the activity which you are supposed to do, like student is supposed to study, businessman is supposed to strategize and expand, programmer is supposed to sit and program. When we are doing the activity that we are supposed to do, like devotees chanting, the time will flow very slowly. But when we start wasting our time, like, you just go to, say, we just go to that mindless scrolling of the shorts, YouTube shorts or Insta or something like that, what happens is the time flows very fast. And this was like a, bulb on moment for me, that, yeah, really, when you are on some social media platform, hours and hours will go. When you sit with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, even 20 minutes will become like, oh, I have done enough for the day. Like that it is. Okay. So we have to cut down the unnecessary things, pratikulyasya varjanam, and then anukulyasya sankalpa, engage that in the service of the Supreme Lord. Text 20. Yatha vataratho granam amvrunte gandhamashayat evam yogaratam chetah atmanam avikariyat. Translation.
Translation: as the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotional service in Kṛṣṇa consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul, who is equally present everywhere. Purport: as a breeze carrying a pleasant fragrance from a garden of flowers at once captures the organ of smell, so one's consciousness, saturated with devotion, can at once capture the transcendental existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who, in his Paramātmā feature, is present everywhere, even in the heart of every living being. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kshetra-jnana, present within this body, but he is also simultaneously present in every other body. Since the individual soul is present only in a particular body, he is altered when another individual soul does not cooperate with him. The Supersoul, however, is equally present everywhere. Individual souls may disagree, but the Supersoul, being equally present in every body, is called unchanging or avikari. The individual soul, when fully saturated with Kṛṣṇa consciousness, can understand the presence of the Supersoul. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that bhakti-yoga abhijananti. A person saturated with devotional service in full Kṛṣṇa consciousness can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead either as Supersoul or as the Supreme Person. Hare Krishna.
Yatha vataratho granam. Just like, what a beautiful word it is. Just like the chariot of the air carries the aroma, vataratho granam. Similarly, one who is engaged in devotional service can actually perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord everywhere. Right? As the chariot of the air carries the aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell, similarly, one who is constantly engaged in devotional service can catch the Super Soul, who is equally present everywhere. Very, very beautiful words, very beautiful analogy. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the breeze carrying the pleasant fragrance from a garden at once captures one's smelling or the organ of the smell. Similarly, when our consciousness, when saturated with devotion, right, at once captures the Supreme Lord everywhere. And therefore, Bhagavad Gita recommends this, bhakti-yoga abhijanati. Bhagavad Gita has this verse, yo mam sarvatra paschanti, yo mam paschati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai paschati. So this is how one has to capture the Supreme Lord everywhere. How? By improving one's consciousness and making it Krishna conscious. Right? Entire 10th canto, 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is all about how to see Krishna everywhere. Keshu keshu the bhaveshu, chintyosi bhagavan maya. Arjuna is asking. And Lord is replying that these are the ways you can see me everywhere. Right? So Prabhupada says that the Supreme Lord is called as Kshetradnya. Kshetradnyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. And he's present in all the kshetras. The living entity is present only in his own kshetra. Right? In his own body, he is present. He is aware of the pleasures and the pains of his own body. But the super soul is present everywhere and he is aware of everything everywhere. And therefore is called as omniscient, omniscient Supreme Lord. And when one's Chetana is saturated with Krishna Bhavana, what happens is one can actually smell Paramātmā. Smell Paramātmā means one can actually see the hand of the Supreme Lord everywhere. And therefore, bhakti is recommended. This is the process of bhakti. And this is how one can capture the Supreme Lord. Text 21. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma vasthitah sada tavagyaya mam martyah kurute archa vidambanam. Translation.
I am present in every living entity as a supersoul. If someone neglects or disregards that supersoul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Purport. In purified consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one sees the presence of Krishna everywhere. Therefore, if one only engages in deity worship in the temple and does not consider other living entities, then he is the lowest grade of devotional service. One who worships the deity in the temple and does not show respect to others is devotee on the material platform, in the lowest stage of devotional service. A devotee should try to understand everything in relationship with Krishna and try to serve everything in that. Everything means to engage everything in the. Person is innocent and does not know his relationship with Krishna. An advanced devotee should try to engage him in the service of Krishna. One who is advanced in Krishna consciousness can engage not only the living beings, but everything in the service of Krishna.
So now Kapila Muni says, I am present in every living entity. But if one engages in deity worship, but does not regard the super soul everywhere, then this is only vidambanam. Vidambanam means it is only imitation. Vidamban. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that one has to raise oneself from Prakrita Kanishta Bhakta to Madhyamadhikari. What is Kanishta Bhakta? Kanishta Bhakta means he will just run to the temple, rush to the temple. He will go in front of the deity. He will be taking darshan of the deity. And, people will do so many things. People will, beat their cheeks like that, pull their ears, do some dandavat, and 8-10 times they will do some mundi hilao, and we are saying it in a very, very positive sense. Okay, there is no sarcasm here, but people will do certain rituals like that and completely disregard the devotees around, right? So this is called as, of course, this is very, very good. All they are great personalities because they are coming to temple, but still this is called as Prakrita Bhakta or Kanishta Adhikari. Prabhupada says a devotee should try to understand everything in relationship with Krishna. Yatharham upayunjatah. And this is how one should come to the platform of Yukta Vairagya. To serve means, Prabhupada says, to engage everything and everyone in the service of the Supreme Lord. That is the real service. Yukta Vairagya. And Srila Prabhupada was champion of this, engaging everything in the service of the Lord. One day a Mayavadi, he came to Prabhupada's program and he distributed some pamphlets, where the very hardcore Mayavad was written. You are God, and you are Aham Brahmasmi, and all Mayavadic interpretation. And devotees were enraged because he was mischievously doing this. And he said, Prabhupada, what to do with this pamphlet? Prabhupada said, no. See, we have come to garden. use this pamphlet for honoring Prasadam. That pamphlet also will be used in Krishna service. So Prabhupada was, a great personality who could convert the material world into spiritual world. How? By engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord. Jai. Right. So this is how one has to engage everything in the service of the Supreme Lord. Text 22. Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santamatmanamishwaram hitvarcham bhajate maudhyat basmani eva juhoti saha. Translation.
One who worships the deity of Godhead in the temples but does not know what the Supreme Lord as Paramātmā is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. Purport. It is stated clearly herein that the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his plenary expansion of Supersoul is present in all living entities. The living entities have 84 lakhs different kinds of bodies. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in everybody, both as individual soul and as Supersoul, as the Supersoul. Since the individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, in that sense, the Lord is living in everybody, and as Supersoul, the Lord is also present as a witness. In both the cases, the presence of Lord in every living entity is essential. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect but who do not feel the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity and everywhere else are in the mode of ignorance. If without this preliminary knowledge of the Lord's omnipresence, one simply attaches himself to the rituals in a temple, church, or mosque, it is as if he were offering butter into ashes rather than into the fire. One offers sacrifices by pouring clarified butter into a fire and chanting Vedic mantras. But even if there are Vedic mantras and all conditions are favorable, if the clarified butter is poured on ashes, then such a sacrifice will be useless. In other words, a devotee should not ignore any living entity. The devotee must know that in every living entity, however insignificant he may be, even in an ant, God is present, and therefore every living entity should be kindly treated and should not be subjected to any violence. In modern civilized society, slaughterhouses are regularly maintained and supported by a certain type of religious principle. But without knowledge of the presence of God in every living entity, any so called advancement of human civilization, either spiritual or material, is to be understood as being in the mode of ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Yomam sarveshu bhuteshu. So now, one who worships the deity but does not know that the Paramatma is situated in everybody's heart must be engaged out of ignorance and is compared to one is offering the oblations into the ashes. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Supersoul is present in every living entity. Right? Riddeshe Arjuna Tishtati, Brahmayan Sarvabhutani, Yantrarudhani Mayaya. That the Supreme Lord is present in every living entity. Sarvasya Chaham Riddhi Sannivishto. Right? Sarvasya. Mattah Smriti. So Riddhi Sannivishto, I am situated in the heart. There are so many verses describing that the Lord is present in every living entity. So there are 84 lakh species. And in every living entity, the Supreme Lord is present. Prabhupada says Supreme Lord is present in two ways. One as a living entity and another as the Lord himself. Somebody may say how the Lord is present as living entity, because the Lord loves the living entity so much that when living entity enters the body, the Lord feels, that I'm only entering the body. It's like, just imagine there is a mother and having a small child, and if the child goes to the, some candle or there is a fire and the child is touching the fire, the mother will feel the same pain as if she herself is touching the fire. Similarly, Prabhupada says in both the sense, because the individual soul and he is such a dear part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, like child to the mother, and the Supreme Lord, both are present in any body. Every body there are these two personalities present, right? So further Prabhupada says, therefore one has to acknowledge the presence of the Supreme Lord in the every living entity. It is very important. It is not that you serve humans and eat animals, and worst is killing the cows and eat the beef. Prabhupada says that is not a right religion. That is not a religion in the right mode. That you appreciate the presence of the Lord only in the living entities, and other living entities you completely deride. No. Sarva Bhuteshu Bharata. That the Supreme Lord is the Father. Aham Bija Prajapita Sarva Yonishu. For all the yonis, the Supreme Lord is the Father. Therefore, even within the Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, there are sacrifices where the goat is sacrificed, and if you go to, we are not talking about Abrahamic religions, but even within the Sanatan fold, if you go to Nepal and other places, so many goats and buffaloes will be sacrificed on that Pashupatinath temple, and it is very clearly mentioned that this is the sacrifice in the mode of ignorance, and this is the verdict of Kapila Muni. Further, Srila Prabhupada says one may be attached to the rituals in the in temple or other places, but if one is neglecting the presence of the Supreme Lord in other living entities, then that is a useless waste of time. It is simply offering butter. Prabhupada says, however clarified the butter is, ekdam A2 ghee gai ka ghee, and if you are offering it in ash, you are not going to get the benefit of doing the sacrifice, right? So Prabhupada says every living entity, there is a soul and super soul, and every living entity has to be respected according to. Of course, one should not go fanatic with this point, but the point is that this is also the principle of nati himsena, not performing unnecessary himsa when it is not required. Even up to the ant should be respected. So it was way back, almost like 30 years back. I had asked one question to Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. We had one devotee, and he was like very, very conscious of the ants. Bajaj Prabhu, he's in Mumbai now. And we used to dance in Kirtan, and there is some Kirtan, crescendo Kirtan is going on. Everybody's, we know that you dance and rotate around and, very enthusiastically dancing. This, our Prabhuji used to catch one devotee, and, he used to catch one and he used to take him out of Kirtan. He used to tell him that, show me your feet. And says, see, there is an ant on your feet, the ant. And it used to be, and I mean, I'm just telling you some good, it used to be so irritating that one day I asked in question answers to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. I asked him that, Maharaj, such and such thing happens. So how should we deal with this devotee? So Maharaj gave me a very beautiful answer. This personally, I asked this question, and personally Maharaj gave this answer. One of my rarest interactions with Maharajji. And Maharaj said, one should not be so efficient that one dances on others' heads. So what that devotee is doing is right. And I was like, very nicely humbled by that answer. So one has to acknowledge the presence of the living entity in presence of the Supreme Lord in other living entities. Otherwise, that worship is in the mode of ignorance. Text 23. द्विषतः परकाये मां मानिनो भिन्नदर्शनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनःशान्तिमृच्छति. Translation.
Translation. One who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Purport. In this verse, two phrases, Bhuteshu Baddha Vairasya, inimical towards others, and Dvishta Parakaye, envious of another's body, are significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others, never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and the Lord himself in his plenary expansion as Supersoul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been engaged within material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Thus, they may be elevated to transcendental spiritual life, and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings, but in human society, it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than human can be raised to Kṛṣṇa consciousness by other methods. For example, Shivananda Sena, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, delivered a dog by feeding him prasada. Distribution of prasada or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, even to the ignorant masses of people and to animals, gives such living entities the chance for elevation to Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Factually, it happened that the same dog, when met by Lord Chaitanya at Puri, was liberated from the material condition. It is specially mentioned here that a devotee must be free from all violence, jiva himsa. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entity. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetable foodstuffs, isn't that violence? Firstly, however, taking some leaves, twigs, or fruits from a tree or plant does not kill the plant. Besides that, Jiva Himsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be distributed in his gradual evolution. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotional service exactly as they are, and he must know that however insignificant a living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize this universal presence of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Further, Kapila Muni says, one who offers me respect but envies others is a separatist and never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards the other living entities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says there are these two important phrases, Bhuteshu Baddhavairasya and Dvishataha Parakai. So, being envious of others. What is envy? Envy is actually negative appreciation. Envy is actually appreciation just coming out in a negative way. Oh, he got good marks. How can he get good? So actually you are appreciating, only that appreciation has become negative appreciation. That is called as envy. So devotee should see the presence of the Supreme Lord everywhere. And, and this is how one should avoid envy. Not just one should avoid envy, one should celebrate others' success also. It's very important. Celebrating others' success. You can tell people, I'm so happy for your success. Very nice. I'm so happy for you that you got such and such marks, you got such and such raise in your package, you got such and such, you got such a nice car, you got such a nice house. So this is very important that, we praise, salute the merit wherever it is and celebrate others' success. This is the easy way to come out of envy. Further, Srila Prabhupada says that the Lord is always eager to deliver living entities, and the Lord will deliver the living entities through whom? Through his own devotees. And therefore, devotees are expected to carry the mercy and grace of the Supreme Lord, the message of the Supreme Lord. So when one becomes devotee, one should naturally rise above the petty, the calculations of Laghu Chetasa. One has to become broad-minded, Udara Cheta, and one should behave in such a way. I know a couple of devotees, they will behave with so gracefully, dignified way. And why? Because by somebody appreciating you for your good behavior as a devotee, actually begins their devotional service, gives them agyat sukruti, that, such and such, he has at least appreciated a devotee. The next, another way is distribution of prasad. And Prabhupada says, prasad should be distributed widely to the masses of people and even to the animals for their elevation in Krishna consciousness. There is One has to minimize jiva himsa, and we have seen this point that how there is vegetables, there is jivo jivasya jivanam, and previous there is elaborate discussion on that. And then further Prabhupada says, however insignificant living entity is, that living entity is on his progressive path in Krishna consciousness. Right. Somebody is in 5th standard, not that you slap him and tell him that take him out of the school. No, he may be in 5th standard, but slowly he's going to 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then he is on his path of enlightenment. Similarly, the living entity also, they are at a different level of evolution. This is about conscious spiritual evolution, not the Darwin's one. And one should not disturb such living entity. If at all, one should try to somehow intelligently include Kṛṣṇa in their lives and make their life also successful. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. There is an important announcement. The devotee community has come together and has published and has directed a movie called as Mahavatar Narasimha. It is a 3D movie, and we are encouraging all the devotees to kindly participate, go to the theaters and watch the movie, because there is always a tendency to watch something amazing, and this movie is animated 3D kind of a movie it is, and it is, while a good entertainment for everybody, adults and kids, it is also a great cause, so that the directors, makers of the movie will be encouraged to make another movie like this. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.